brace yourself, because we're getting to the roots. Yeah.
It's been a busy week for sure.
It's been a busy week.
Did you film at all during the week?
I did.
In the evenings? Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured.
Even yesterday, I had to produce or TV host for work, and then I just got here after work and just did another whole vlog. But you know what? It's like, it doesn't even feel like work. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels...
It's creative.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's like something I enjoy doing. It's so interesting. We were talking about that last night at dinner, and it's just like, you really have to decide if you're going to continue to work on the things that you're passionate about while you're still having a full-time job. So it's like...
It's hard.
Thank you. What are some things you're passionate about?
That's a great question. I mean, like, I would say I'm passionate about being a mother and motherhood.
Yeah.
As I say, like, that's probably number one in my life right now, is making sure I'm a good mom.
Yeah.
And then definitely like my I would say like reputation, not so much like professional, but personal as well. Like what people know me as and what people can expect out of me for the most part. Yeah. That's really important to me. Like, my self-care is pretty important to me right now. I'm pretty passionate about that. Like, I've been told, you know, you got to be serious about yourself. So it's like, I'm going to be serious about myself. Like, I'm going to actually take myself serious and recognize that I'm worth that, you know, and not just playing around with myself and not playing, like, I don't know what, I tweeted something the other day and I was like, I'm not playing small no more. Ooh. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I can't play around about this anymore. Right. So.
Like, it's serious now.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like this shift of energy this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of weird. Like, I feel like a lot of people feel it.
It's like, I think what you just said is like the sermon for this year. Yeah. That I've been listening to. Yeah. And just like, really, like you said, I don't have time to waste anymore. I don't have...
Which is kind of crazy because we're like young. Yeah. You know, and...
But it's a different...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like there's a certain type of way I want to live. Right. And like...
Yes.
And it's more than just like, you know, it goes more than just the surface, right? Like the money, the flash, I call it earth shit. Right. Like I really call it earth shit. Like, none of that stuff really matters to me. Right. But it's like
the external stuff that is just like here today, gone tomorrow.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Like, it can be taken from you in a minute, but it's like, the way I want to live is knowing no matter what, it's going to work out. Yeah. And whatever path like it takes me on is... I'm just along for the ride. Like, I'm just gonna be I've always believed in just being a vessel, right, and trying to be here and like live my life while also trying to show others like you need to live your life too, and hopefully you can be a vessel too, and just be open and receptive of the stuff that you want to do in life, and whatever comes your way, just take it as a lesson. I don't know. Like,
that's so good.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's this, like, when you said taking myself seriously, it's like, I don't think people realized, at least for me, like, I don't think I realized how much I wasn't taking myself seriously
a lot of people don't.
Until you, like, get to a space, like you said, where it's like, you have to do something different. Like, you have to do something different in order to see something different. And for me, it's like, you have to get out of this old mindset and stop expecting
kill the old,
like, new things with an old mindset. Yep. Like, better said than done. It sounds so cliche, but it's like, it just feels so real at the same time. Right. And it's just so interesting that, like, this is how we're starting.
I know, right?
This is it. Yeah. That's why I'm like, there doesn't need to be an introduction. We'll get there. Yeah. But like it was just on my heart to just be like, you know, where are you at right now? Is it just me that feels like this force?
Man, no, I think, and if I feel like a lot of people that I've talked to kind of feel like this tugging at them. I've never, like, I was trying to explain it to somebody. I was like, I've just never felt like I was gonna be mediocre. You know, like I always felt like there was gonna be something really spectacular about me, and I've like firmly believe it.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Like I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable saying that because once they recognize that, and I don't like it's like you don't want to sound silly, but it's like I don't feel silly saying that. Like I really feel like I'm a light. You know? Like I'm a blessing.
We're lights out here. But like that is so real. And I think like I'm like, wow, like I feel that because I do feel like there was a time where I was like, I don't want to say certain things because I want to make other people feel comfortable. You know what I mean? But it's like for you to say like
that's on them though.
I'm a light, and I know like I'm going to be a light. And I'm going to be successful. And there is nothing wrong with saying that. And I think for me, it's about being around people where we can shine together.
And not even like, it's just like, what you realize, I think sometimes we feel like really lonely on our journeys. Because we're just like, nobody else feels like this. Like, no one's really talking about it or whatever. But I think it's important to be around like-minded people because it lets you know that it's okay to feel that way. You know, like I think a lot of people do feel guilt and shame about feeling certain type of ways about themselves, even if it's a positive thing. Like even if it's just like, I don't feel like I'm supposed to be like
saying that
mediocre. And I think once people kind of get comfortable in that, that's where they're really able to tap in
to that
their
power,
to their full potential. And sometimes you need other people to like show you, but like it's there,
or even to just say it. Like even for you to say that to me, I'm like, wow.
It's
like I think I need to hear that.
I think a lot of people do. Like I think a lot of people do. So it took me like I said, it took me a minute to like get to that point, but I've always like, even as a kid, I was just like, there's something
special about me.
I don't know what it is, but there's something special about me.
You are special, dude.
Thanks.
You really are.
Sorry.
I mean, ever since I met you, you've been like this light. And like you just have this sense of humor that like many people don't have.
I get on my own nerves. Like,
and I just think it's so funny. Like we need more laughter. You know?
Oh yeah. And silliness and just lightness. I think like a lot of people forget what it was like to feel like a kid. And once you kind of like you can't forget that, like your inner child is there still. Whether it be them like, whether it's that creative sense, whether it's like any sort of trauma or baggage that you have or anything that you have, like there is an inner child, like there is a inner Coco in me that's like still very much so at play. She's grown now, and you know she tells everybody to call her Cleotha, full name, and everything. But like, you know, for the most part, like you have to understand, like you don't want to kill that off completely because it's like that's where like kids are so creative, right? And they're so fearless, and they just jump into whatever. Like I remember watching like this clip from Ethan Hawke's TED Talk. And he was talking about how kids just throw themselves into projects, like building a sandcastle. Never built a sandcastle in their life. But they're going to build a sandcastle that day, wherever you're at on the beach or whatever they're at, sandbox, whatever. And they're just going to be like, look at my castle. There's my castle. It could be just a lump of sand that they just were working on. But like, I love the beauty in that. So I mean, we were just talking about it, like, you know, really kind of coming into our own and figuring out what we want to do for ourselves,
and not for other people,
not being afraid of it. You know.
And I think that's really what life is about, is that like the journey it takes you to finally get to that space. Because I don't think it's a destination, because once you arrive, there's something else you have to work on, you know. But like getting to that space where you're fully creating and whatever it is that you're supposed to create, you know. And some people, it may be working for someone else. Other people, it may not be. And like, that's okay. Because I think right now our generation is so focused on like being this entrepreneur. But some people are really supposed to serve like with other people, not under, but with. And so I just think that like, you know, take your journey seriously. Like you said, take yourself seriously.
And be analytical with it too. Like really take a look at yourself.
And evaluate.
And figure out, like, if there's some stuff that you're just not happy about, if there's things that you're struggling with, it's like you can't really let it consume you. I was talking about this. I tweet a lot.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Is it just me? Twitter gives me anxiety. Maybe not you, but like.
Oh, I have a burner account. I don't have like. I have like my professional account where no one follows me. Like I'm just there when I like come into my own. But then I have my like
your venting account.
Yeah.
Oh my
so
gosh.
like,
okay,
I'm not telling nobody that. I'll tell you, but I'm not saying it on the podcast.
I didn't even know that you had one.
Yeah, I almost got canceled like for some shit that I was like, what? I didn't even think that was problematic.
Wait, what were you talking about?
Black hair.
Oh God, what did you say?
I didn't say anything. I can't say it. I can't say it on here.
Okay, yeah, because they're gonna find you.
What if they cancel you? Like, edit this out.
Girl, oh my gosh. Okay, you gotta tell me after.
Okay, I'm going to. It wasn't that bad. I was just like speaking my truth, and then they were like,
they're like going at it.
This is my I was like.
Okay, but you were saying though you had even.
Oh yeah, I tweeted something last night. Get back to it. I tweeted something last night where I was like, you know, for anyone that's hurting or struggling, you know, don't let it consume you. Don't let it win. There's pain in your purpose, and that you got to find it.
Yeah,
takes a minute. It's going to be uncomfortable. You might have some dark nights or even days, and you know, it's like. But that's kind of what is beautiful about that process is really finding yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my contact is like.
Oh, you're good. I was like that yesterday. Dude, oh my gosh.
What is happening?
I don't have my contacts in right now, but yesterday I was like going blind with them in.
I'm just
because they were so dry with all the lights.
I'm like, what is happening? Why does Danielle look like a blob? Like,
you're like, I can really see you.
But yeah. So.
Wow. Okay, so let's actually introduce who Cleotha is, because we just went on this whole powerful just experience like that I just truly enjoyed. But welcome to Behind the Spotlight podcast. I'm your host, Danielle J. Martin, and on this Overcoming series, we are diving into the past, the present, and the future of individuals who have gone through experiences that have shaped them into who they are today. And joining me is the lovely Cleotha Daniels. How are you?
Good.
Okay, we already like been talking for the last 15 minutes, but
good.
Okay, so we kind of started off on this experience, on this journey of like taking yourself seriously, and I kind of want to navigate us through how did you get there. So we have to kind of rewind a little bit and talk about one, like we became friends through an organization called Omni Circle Group. It's located here in Topeka, Kansas. And through that, we were on the board together. And when I met Cleotha, it was like, oh my gosh, like being in a foreign country and seeing someone of my own kind. You know what I mean? So I was like, wow, there's other Black people here, you know? So I think that was comforting to me.
Right.
And then also to see someone like you, your age, of excellence at just everything that you do. I
think it's funny that people classify me as excellence because
you are. It's so an accomplishment, funny to me. Though.
That's so I definitely appreciate it. Yeah, I was like, I take it as I take myself seriously. Trust me, too much sometimes. But it's just so like that's just so funny because like sometimes I feel so like not it. I don't feel anything. I don't know. Excellence is such a powerful word. Like excellence equates like perfection to me, and I'm not like perfect. You know, and I think that's what makes me. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I take excellence as like someone who is really doing it on a valuable level.
Yeah.
That's something that's like not really seen often. You know what I mean? And so at the age of 28, you are a lawyer. a mother, and like those are accomplishments.
Yeah.
And so I guess like that's what I see. And
Yeah.
as a Black woman, like, yeah, show it off, dude.
Yeah, I think I think that I do. But I will say, like, I appreciate that. I always appreciate that. But I always tell people, you know, you can't let your failures define you, right? Just like you can't let your accomplishments define you.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why I think that's why I keep going.
Yeah.
It's like, no matter what, it's always a what's next. You know, failure, accomplishment, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes me excellent. So I think that's why I don't feel
Like
it
to
in the
classify?
moment.
Yeah.
Like I just am like, all right, we did this, let's move on. Like the celebration is me being able to move forward and figure out what else I want to tackle.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And on that journey, so first, I guess, explain the type of lawyer you are, all the things that you do.
Yeah. So I'm a corporate attorney. I work in-house for a company here in Topeka, Kansas, named Midwest Health. And so the core business is basically providing legal services to long-term care facilities. We also delve into a lot of other lines of businesses, mostly hospitality and golf courses, and it's pretty expansive at this point. They definitely keep us busy over there.
Yeah.
But I think that's mostly what I would say I deal with is healthcare law, real estate law for the most when talking real estate, landlord tenant law, property disputes. I handle a lot of just different legal affairs for them when it comes to, you know, reviewing contracts and reviewing leases or anything like that. Just a lot of transactional work and a lot of labor and employment stuff. I mean, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. I love it though. It's like when it's such a great learning experience working for a company like that and working for the people that we work for. They've been in the city for about, it's been probably 40, going on 50 years now, just doing a lot of different work in this city. So
now, do you see yourself kind of like pursuing yourself there long term?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, like I think that's what I like about it is like they're growing. They've been growing. And it gives me a chance and opportunity to really hone in and figure out what areas of the law that I'm very passionate about, that I can try my hand at. It gives me an opportunity to do that. So I think that's what I love the most about my job is like it's so different every day. We never know what they're gonna throw at us. So,
you just never know what kind of day you're gonna have.
I mean, you know, for the most part, you set up like, you know, but you really never know. Like until somebody emails you and
it's very unpredictable.
You're like, okay, let me give them a call real quick. So it can be very unpredictable, but I think I've always loved challenges. Sometimes being a lawyer is a real challenge, and but it makes me feel like I'm connected to an overall purpose, right? Like there's purpose in my work, and
that's good.
So I think I really love it. I feel like it was a long time coming. I worked very hard through school and trying to just make sure that I was a decent person so that
Okay, sorry, we just looked at each other like, okay, is the roof about to fall apart? We're like, what is happening?
But you know, like, so, I know. That's kind of in a box with a bow on it, what I do.
So what I love about you and just who you are as a person is that you just always speak with this confidence and like just this power, you know, like it doesn't matter what you're going through. One, I never know when you're really having like an off or bad day. You know what I mean? It's like I can tell, but you can still like have this positive attitude, you know? And so I remember us going to Iron Rail and like we had this explosive conversation about just all the things that you've been through. And so one of the things that I appreciate about you is that you opened up about, your past and the things that went on with your dad and how unfortunately he did pass away due to COVID. And so that was a very significant time in your life.
Oh, yeah.
And because of other reasons. And so let's go down that roadway of, how that experience impacted you today.
Right. So I think, the pandemic and whatever was super traumatic for all of us involved. Anybody that was there.
Yeah. Or reporting about it.
Yeah.
It's you got to the point where you were just saying numbers. Yeah. It's just
numbers
this is
were
how many people died today.
Yeah.
And it was just a number.
Yeah.
That's when I had to,
It's just
check yourself.
Yeah, it was a shock for everybody to see the world just kind of stop. Life that we knew it at that moment was changed forever, I think. And so just that on top of it, I think for most of 2020, I was just we're gonna get through this. We're gonna. I remember at some point in 2020, probably right before my dad got sick, I was thinking to myself, I was it has not been that bad of a it hasn't been a bad year. Overall, still got my job, which I was really concerned about.
Still got insurance.
Yeah, I was I'm out here. We're healthy.
Yeah,
I was
healthy.
My family's healthy. Thank God, no one's gotten sick yet.
Yeah.
And I would say
even when it was bad.
Yeah, even when it was bad. And so I'd say I remember thinking that, and after it was probably a month and a half later is when my dad started getting sick.
Wow.
And usually he just kind of he was sick, and then he was I think I made a turn and blah blah blah. And I remember I remember the last day that I saw him before he ever went to the hospital. Well, it wasn't the last day. It was he came to pick up my son because my mom did, because they were gonna watch him, and he was struggling, he couldn't walk. He was walking, but he was very short of breath.
Yeah.
And could barely make it to the vehicle, and it just was. I was you need to go home and rest. I don't know what's going on. I was you might have the vid, and so. I remember thinking to myself, I was well, shit, if he's sick, I probably need to go get tested or something. And so I remember the next day I went and got tested, and I was COVID positive. So I was no, you guys are definitely COVID positive.
Yeah.
And
because it was just so easy to get around that time.
And I don't know if we gave it to them, or if they gave it to us, or whatever.
You just never know.
Yeah, you just never know. And so I remember telling him, I was if you can't breathe, you need to go to the hospital. And he just was stubborn, didn't want to go. So eventually my mom took him to the hospital, and then he had to be transported to KU Med. At that time, I don't know if you remember, but it was so hard to get people into ICU units.
Yep.
We were scared that he was going to have to go to Nebraska or somewhere else in a neighboring state, and that we were going to have to pick up and go there to be with him. And so, and then at that time they weren't having people in the hospitals as well.
Right.
So thankfully he was able to get in at KU Med, and they took great care of him.
That's good.
But yeah, he eventually succumbed to the complications. We thought he was going to get better and be able to get out, but he was in there. He got into the hospital probably the week before Thanksgiving, and then he was put on a ventilator. He got off of that the day before Thanksgiving, I remember.
Yeah.
And from that moment, he was just on the healing track, right? So that whole time, it was just dealing with getting updates from the hospital, and I was the main person doing all of that in my family, amongst my siblings. And my mom is my mom works in healthcare, but she can't her second language is English, so it's she can't articulate things the way that she wants to people. So and I don't know, my siblings, they just kind of wait to hear instead of being the
Right.
The people that are like
in charge.
Let me call.
Yeah.
You know.
I understand that.
Yeah. I do have. I mean, like, you know, they. I don't want to make it seem like they don't care, but like it just always ends up falling on
you are
me.
The initiator.
Yeah. So. It was hard, like those 6 weeks that he was in the hospital, just dealing with that. And like, I mean, like my dad was such like a force in my life. Like he was always so strong and always so able-bodied. And you know, I remember in my heart of hearts, I was like, yeah, he's gonna beat this, because he had pneumonia before, you know, like, and so I was like, and he said he almost died when he had pneumonia, but he was like, no, I made a turn.
Oh wow.
And so I didn't even know that. Like I remember he told me that, I was like, where was I? I was like, I was here. But yeah, like it just was one of the toughest times, because like before he got sick, he was perfectly, I mean, he was fine, like
perfectly
able-bodied person that worked on cars, worked on his house, and you know, worked on his farm and did all the stuff that, you know, he wanted to do. He's only 69 years old. Wow. So yeah, I mean, that, I think just COVID, dealing with that, like I wasn't the healthiest person at that time either. Like 2020, I was like a dumpster can. Yeah. Like I wasn't doing anything health-wise. I wasn't taking care of myself. I mean, like, just thinking about the amount of alcohol I drank in 2020, like, no, I'm for real. Like, it was stupid. Yeah. And the food that I ate, and like, there was no structure. Right. Like, I think the only thing going. Yeah, just kind of coping with, like, oh, we get to, no one's really doing anything, might as well just go drink. Yeah. Or, you know, we'll go get some booze or whatever. But like,
you know, when you think about like the amount of time, like amount of liquor that you have put into your body, especially at a young age, I think about that sometimes, and I'm like, how did you? Like,
that's why I don't anymore. Like, I'm just like,
it was just, we were careless about our liver. Like, just, you know. Yeah.
And so I think leading, like, COVID, that and then leading into him being sick at the end of the year around the holidays, like, that was just like a juggernaut. So I remember when we found out that he wasn't going to make a turn, and so he just, like, I remember it was 2 weeks before he passed, like, it was clear that he wasn't gonna heal. And like, he made the decision. He was just like, we'll see if it gets better. But like, I remember a couple days, maybe like 3 or 4 days before he passed, which would have been around like, I think he made it to Christmas Day, where like all my siblings were able to kind of get into town and like be here with us. But we had told them, like, it's not looking good. So they had started making arrangements. My sister was here. Bree's calling me.
Oh my god.
I'm not gonna pick up, but I'll call her later. But I just I remember my oldest sister, who I say is his favorite, was there on Christmas Day with him, which was like perfect. And right after Christmas, I would say, like, is when he was just like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I think on the 28th, he was like, yeah, go ahead and get everybody here. And so I remember calling.
He said that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He by that point, we were able to, like, visit him because the virus was, like, out of his body and everything. Okay. So, like, at least at that time, like, the vaccine had just rolled out, like, 2 weeks before he passed. And then he had been in there for, they knew that his, like, level of, or that the virus was out. So they allowed visitors. And I think finally, like, the doctors basically told him, like, these are your options, because your lungs aren't healing. His lungs had so much scar tissue. So what the doctors explained to me is that, like, they were like, think of it as a balloon. Right. And the balloon had, like, if you just put a bunch of, like, scabs on the balloon, it's not going to allow the balloon to, like, inflate. You know, like, like, he can't breathe. Like, it's restricting his ability to be able to, like, restricting his lung capacity. He can't he can't breathe on his own. So the doctors told him, they were like, you know, there really is no option. You're gonna have you either die or you can have a trach put in and you can live in a nursing facility for the rest of your life. And that was it. I mean, he was like, yeah, no. Which he had always told us, like, wow. Even when I asked him, like, when I got out of law school and I was like, hey, we need to probably start, like, talking about your guys' estate planning and all that stuff. I was like, yep. You know, end of life, or like not end of life, but like long-term care. What are you thinking? Do you want to be home? Do you want to be like in an assisted living? Do you want to? And my dad was faithful about being home. Like he was like, I don't want to be in any sort of facility, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, once he heard that, he was just like, and I remember I was like talking to him, and I was just like, are you sure there's like nothing else that can be done? And he said, Coco, I can't breathe. I'm just good at, like, he was like, he wasn't talking that well, but he was like, if they turn off these machines right now, I would die. And so that was kind of, he made the decision, you know, like, that's one thing I did love about it. The beauty in it is it wasn't him just in the hospital alone on a ventilator, because so many people so many loved ones died alone in the hospital. They didn't even, I'm sure they didn't even know because they were intubated, but like so many people lost their loved ones and they were completely alone and didn't know what was going on, couldn't see them in the hospital. I know when I was in that wing, I saw so many people in their rooms just alone. Yeah. So it was a real blessing that he had that option, that he was able to do that. Right. And then so, you know, once he made that decision, all of us got in, all of his kids except for one was able to make it. And we just good. You know, we held him as he took his last breath. Like the day that we had all gotten into town, we all decided we were going to be there. We actually didn't decide. The hospital told us that we could all come, and that we didn't expect that. We thought like the people that hadn't seen him yet were only going to be able to be there, but they just told us to go ahead and come, and I got dressed and went. And I think like I got there around like 1:00 in the afternoon, and an hour later my dad was gone. So it was the first time I had ever seen somebody like actually like watch die. Yeah, that I ever seen any like somebody's life leave their body. I think that was the case. Not for all of us, because I know for sure my brothers that are in law enforcement, they had seen it before. But when it comes to somebody that we love and that that was like, that man was we all love our dad, no matter like what imperfections he had. Like we all just like, we knew we all had to be there. So yeah, I think like witnessing that, seeing that was hard. But dealing with it, I would say seeing it wasn't the hard part. That was closure. Right. You know, like everybody wishes they could have closure, and we got that. And you got to at least see him. It really spoke a true testament to my dad's life that like all of his kids were there, and that he was surrounded by his wife. Even some of his grandkids were there. We just held him and sent him home. Like we got to send him home in a way that like a lot of people don't get to. Right. So, yeah. Not gonna cry. It's okay. I know. But you know I love you, dude. I know. Oh my God. Yeah. My hands are cold. Yours I know. You want me to feel you? Yeah, I was like, oh. I think it's because they're in between my pants. Oh, yeah. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah. But yeah, so I think, I don't know. I think I just like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. No, but you're good. I just, like your story will never get old to me because, I don't know, I don't even know your dad, but it's like when I hear your story and I hear the way you describe him, like very similar. It reminds me of like my dad. And so it's like I could just never imagine, like ever,
you know,
having to go like
through that, but then also understanding like the back end of like what happened, and like knowing like where my dad is now and how he has so much trauma that he needs to heal from. And it's like I've been so like urgent to get all of my siblings together and having us all to like, let's talk. An intervention. Let's talk. You know, like it's
and
so
talk about it in a real way, because like you know, when we talked it's if you can make it happen, I would like if there's even a shimmer of possibility, try to make it happen. I mean, like, you know, kind of backing into like mine and my dad's relationship and some of the history there, like it wasn't always perfect, you know, like you know, we had our differences, and I told you about, you know, the stuff that went on between me and him when I was in high school, and not many people know what happened with your dad. And so I think if you are comfortable sharing that, we can dive into just like the climate of my relationship with my dad. I will say, like, growing up, like, my dad was like, I think we talked about it, like, that was my first love for sure. You know, like I said it was like I wanted to be in that man's skin when I was a kid. Like, I loved him that much, him and my mom. But he was like your everything. Oh, absolutely. Like, I loved that man. And, you know, I don't blame him. I blame him, but only to a certain degree, for what happened. Right. Because he was the adult and I was the child. And I think that's, like, no matter where you're at in life and what you're struggling with, you have to understand that, like, what happens to your kids and what you do to your kids has long-lasting impacts on their lives, that if you did it to them, you're not going to be the one to undo it. Like, they have to figure it out for themselves, how to unpack it. And that's hard, you know, like, so I think he ended up realizing that, like, way down the line. But, like, so, like, you know, my senior year, we had a really bad disagreement one night, and it ended up turning physical, and he basically assaulted me to a degree that was pretty intense. And after that, I just kind of lost all, like, so you take like the person that you, like, grew up being in love with, essentially, and he substantially hurt me. But it wasn't even that night. It was all the things that he was just under, like, a lot of pressure. He was building our house at the time. We had talked about it, like, you know, we, even at our age, we struggle with like where we're at in life, and if we're doing enough, or if we're supposed to be here, or whatever. And I think he, as a man who was aging, felt the same way. And so I think there was a lot of stuff that was probably at play for him that impacted his daily moods, that impacted his overall just demeanor. And it kind of changed him to a certain degree, like, where I didn't really know the person that he was at that point, you know. It wasn't like people loved my dad. Like, when he passed, like, people were hurt about it. And so it's not like he lets it be seen, but, like, it's those personal relationships that are impacted the most. And so, you know, just our home life wasn't bad. Like, I will say that, like, I don't have any complaints about how I was raised, but he just kind of changed. Like, his demeanor with me had changed, like, basically for the entire, I would say, 4 years of my high school. And I think it was because I was getting older, and I was I wasn't a little girl anymore, and so he was figuring that out too. But, you know, it escalated that night into that. And I probably didn't make it easy, but I don't blame myself for it anymore. Like, I used to blame myself heavily for it. Like, but at the end of the day, like, now that I'm a little bit older and I understand at least my side of it,
right,
and growing up and becoming an adult, like, I don't know. I don't know.
So,
I don't know.
It's like a very traumatic experience happens, and then as you get older, I remember you telling me that, like, you kind of went years without speaking to him because, you know, it was an impactful time in your life, and it's like, how can you forgive someone like that, someone so close to you, and just move on like nothing happened, you know? So
I think that's like, what a lot of my family wanted me to do.
Yeah.
Is just be act like, because I moved out of the house. Like, I moved out of the house. I moved in with my sister at the time. And, but I think what was most impactful for me was kind of like how some of my older siblings looked at me.
Right.
And their perception of me. Because the only intel that they got on Coco was from my dad.
Yeah.
So, you know, they had the intel from when I was a freshman, and I snuck out of the house with my best friend. Like, oh my God, Coco's a rebel, and this and that and the third. But, like, two of my oldest siblings almost set an entire city in Southern California on fire.
Oh my god!
You know, one of my sisters, she got pregnant at 16.
It's all coming
you know,
out.
like, I don't judge them for that, but I felt very judged for the stuff that I was doing, and it wasn't even touching nothing that they had done. Like, it was, and so I know that, like, some of my siblings were mad at me for that stuff. Like, they were mad at me because of what happened between me and my dad. Like, I still don't know how it was like, how I was the one that was that anger
bullied.
was being directed at. And then
so you know, out.
I moved out, and like,
and then,
my sister was, I would say my sister that I moved in with was like the only one that was really kind of there for me at that time. And then she was even dealing with her own life and her own stuff. So it's like, she's struggling, and then it was a tough time.
Yeah. And then
it was
like,
rough.
So years go by, and then like, you move out, and then your dad gets COVID.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, a lot of stuff happened in between there. Like, we repaired, and I had moved back in with my parents after like 6 months. Or maybe it wasn't even that long. It might have been like 3 or 4 months that I moved in after I moved out. And so I was back there, but like, our relationship, like, I barely talked to him. Like, I would not really talk to him. And then, like, finally I kind of just got over it, where I was like, I kind of miss talking to my dad. And like, you know, I think that's where I started to like be like, okay, let me just,
and that relationship started to rekindle a little bit.
But there was still, like, I didn't heal from that. Like, I would say for years I hated my dad. Like, I hated going home. I hated listening to him. I hated talking with him, which was like a stark contrast to before that event had ever happened.
So how do you, like, and I'm sure many people are struggling or have gone through something very similar. So it's like, we definitely want to encourage or educate the listeners and viewers, like, if you have gone through something traumatic like this with your family member, how do you still love someone after something traumatic happens to you?
Right. Well, I don't think you have to love them. You know, you don't, like, that's not what's important here, right? What is important is your healing from it. If you're traumatized from something that happened to you, or you were hurt in a way. And so I think what is important to people's healing from those moments is really forgiving yourself for beating yourself up, like, for thinking that you played a role in it, or whatever the case may be. And you have to forgive yourself. So, and understand that, like, you are deserving of better treatment. I think once you're able to accept that about yourself, then you're able to lend grace to people in some way, or it doesn't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be rainbows and butterflies. It doesn't, we don't have to pretend like nothing ever happened. You can even just say, you know what, I can't do it. Like, I'm not going to engage in this, and I don't want to put anything else into this relationship at all, and be done with that person.
And then do you like encourage people to like, because I feel like even like for my siblings, there's a lot of traumatic things that have happened to them. And I think maybe they don't know how to go about it to have that conversation with that family member. Because they're already thinking of the conclusion of like, well, what's the point? Or I already know what they're going to say. But it's like, you're right. Healing is the number one thing. And it's like, if you do not get healed, you are going to stay the same. And then people around you are going to reap your actions based off of how you were deeply feeling at a younger age. So it's like, how do people have that conversation? Well, how do we overcome that?
Like, you can try to have the conversation, right?
Yeah.
But if you're dealing with a person who doesn't want to like
have that conversation,
you can't force somebody to do that. But you have to be like, well, that has to be enough for you. Unfortunately, even though you could be angry as a hornet and just want, like, you have to accept reality for what reality is. And if a person doesn't want to even engage in that, then at the end of the day, you could be like, I did what I needed to do in this moment. I have to move on. And I tried, and that's what it is. And
did you ever have that conversation with your dad?
No. I would say, like, not before he almost died, or before he died. We finally kind of addressed it. There was one time we got into it after my son was born, and to the point where I told him, I was like, and I was grown, like I was out of school and everything. But I remember telling him, I was like, I don't respect you ever since you did that stuff to me. How could you think that I respect you?
Right.
And I remember the look on his face when I said that. He could still tell that, like, it's still years later, it was still impactful for me, that, like, and our relationship.
Right.
And so I remember, right before he passed, like the night before he passed, we never really revisited that conversation after.
Did you want to, though?
It was just gonna be me. It was just, I was still angry. Like, you can't come
to the table angry.
And
you weren't ready?
I wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready.
Yeah. I wasn't ready for that reason, because
and that's okay.
That
is okay.
Like, that's another thing, is like, I don't want people to feel like they have to force anything on a time limit or anything, like. But if you don't address it, it will fester in you, because it festered in me.
Right.
Like, it will fester in you like a wound, and it just ends up impacting so much more of your life and your happiness and how you feel about yourself. Because I think I told you, like, after that happened, like, I had issues, like major issues with identifying what my self-worth was, identifying what my own purpose was, feeling like, am I deserving of, that sort of treatment? Because my dad was the first person to do that to me, but he wasn't the last. Like, there have been people who, I had a sibling put his hands on me, I had a friend put his hands on me, all within the last 2 years, and it's like, I feel like when my dad did that to me, I don't want to blame him. I don't blame him for that stuff, but I feel like definitely within my family, it was viewed like, okay, we could do this to Coco if it's called for, and if it's necessary. And
wow.
And I don't want to make it seem like my family is like that. Like, everybody has their issues. No, I know. I just want, I don't want you guys to think that, like, I was, like, fighting for my life. I mean, there are times I was fighting for my life, but, like, not with them, but like my own battles and my own demons, and trying to figure out that baggage and what to do with it.
Right.
You know,
and how, like, that was my follow-up question, was like, how did you heal?
Yeah.
You know, like, what was your healing process like? I'm sure your journey can impact and empower anyone else right now. Like, how do you heal from something that happens to you at a younger age, but still is carried with you as an adult?
Right. It's hard. It's so hard, and it's such a long journey. I would say I did it before, but I'm going to shamelessly plug therapy. Go to therapy.
Say it strongly, girl.
Yeah, go to therapy.
Black people can go to therapy.
They can.
We are in the 21st century now.
I think it's important that everyone goes to therapy.
Yeah.
Like, even, like, you know...
Yes,
it's so true. Important because people deal with stuff and they don't even realize, like, when their anxiety's at play or at play, and when they're, you know, whatever the case may be, you gotta talk through stuff with somebody. And
it's like, if you feel that, like, unease about certain things, because I think I know where you're about to go, as far as, like, if you feel like something is unease about you and your thoughts. Even for me, I thought, like, me having these negative thoughts are not healthy. And, like, where do they come from? And, like, getting to that root and understanding that, like, okay, this stems from this. Yeah. You know what I mean? And understanding that it is okay to not be okay, but it's also okay to recognize that, you know what, like, something is wrong.
Something is off. Like, something is off.
And I want to talk to someone about it. And maybe you need to.
Oh, yeah. There's been times where I've just been in, like, funks for, like, weeks.
Yeah.
Where I'm just, like, it's not even, like,
it's like something's wrong with you, but you don't know what's wrong with you.
Or, like, what is... I literally...
And it's not my cycle.
In that time... Yeah. I think that's another thing, is just, like... There is so much that we have to realize that, like, when we're in situations, and I talked about it last week too, was like, you know, Pharrell was talking about, like, when you're in a situation, you're just here. You can't see anything around this. You're just here. And when you can finally draw back and see everything else, that's I think for me, that's what therapy was for me, was the drawing back.
Wow.
Like, why are you so concerned about the stuff that's happened in your past, or what they'll think about you because of your past, or you know, why are you so concerned with whether or not something's gonna work out? You know, everything's worked out to this point. Why do you think it's not gonna work out now? And what is your fear? What is your actual fear? Do you think you're gonna die? No, you're not gonna die because you decided to do the X, Y, or Z, you know, like and so I think, fear and shame have a way of really debilitating a person. And so for me, I learned a lot about myself, I feel like, in therapy. It gave me the tools to really take a look inside and be more introspective. And figure out, like, what my triggers are. And what my trauma is and how it's linked to those triggers. And then new triggers. And my anxiety, and figuring out what I'm in control of, what I'm not in control of. And I think to get on with your healing journey is, like, you really gotta be committed to not... You gotta be serious about yourself. Like, full circle, like, back to what we talked about at the beginning of this episode, is, like, being serious about yourself. Recognizing, I think that is what really helped in my journey, is finding out my self-worth and being serious and taking my own self seriously.
And kind of, like, diving in and discovering those roots and those, like digging out those roots that are trying to keep you stagnant and trying to keep you into this, like, negative brain and mindset. It's like, you know, that's not who you are. You know, like, this doesn't define you. So it's like, rip that label off. Rip that experience off, like, rip the things that are trying to keep you down, because like you said, when you become serious about yourself, you start to, like, really evaluate your character. God literally sat me down last year to evaluate my character, and it was ugly. So ugly.
And when you can't look at yourself in the mirror, that's the hardest part.
Oh, come on.
For years I couldn't look myself in the mirror and see somebody that I actually thought was beautiful and like a good person. Like I never thought I was a good person because of all this other shit that was taking place. Like people telling me that I like believing other people instead of myself, you know, and just knowing what my inner thoughts were and stuff like that about other people and what they were doing and all this other stuff. And like, I think that has an impact. And like, when you can't look at yourself in the mirror, it's like, I didn't recognize that person for a long time.
Can I tell you about this exercise I did one time? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I encourage you to like maybe go. I haven't done it in a while, but a while back, I went to this conference and this guy was speaking, and he said, I challenge you to go home and do this exercise. And he was like, 99.9%. The first 10 times you do it, you won't be able to look at yourself. And so it required you to go home in your bathroom to the most sacred place, look at yourself in the mirror, yourself, not like anything around you, and say, I love you like 30 times in a row. Yeah. And so I'll never forget, like, Michael was like, okay, I went home and I was like, have you ever done this exercise before? And he was like, yeah, you know. And so we're in the bathroom. He's like, come on, look at yourself. He was like, look at yourself.
You couldn't do it
at all. Yeah. And it was like, I'll never forget that moment.
And how you felt. Because it'd be moments like that you just like, wow, I'm about to fucking cry for no reason. Like,
we're not crying out here.
No, you know, like for real, like I think.
But seriously,
I think that's why, like, I think that's been the shift for me. Like that's been the major shift and why I take so many mirror pictures. Yeah. Because like I love what I see now, not just physically, but like
who you are,
mentally, emotionally, who I am. Yes. Yeah, like it's I just seeing her. I don't know how many times I look in the mirror and I'm just like,
how you doing?
Is that you? Like what?
Oh my gosh. Oh. Hello.
Yeah, no, for real. Like it's kind of. I remember I used to talk about it to people. I was like, you really got to believe, but it was like in a toxic way. I'd be like, yeah, this is me, whatever. But like now it's like.
But do you really love yourself? And I think that's really something to evaluate.
It's disgusting how much I love myself. Like honestly, my gosh. I just like I think. What was that? What was that?
I don't know.
So basically, I would say my healing journey basically started like right after my dad passed. Like when I really realized like life is fleeting. Yeah. And like what we do with our, like I think my dad dying was like the biggest wake up call that I've ever had. Is just being like, damn, he's gone now. Like ain't nobody out here like really, like if I get stuck on the side of the road, he ain't coming to pick me up. Wow. You know, like I gotta make sure I have like AAA or something now. Yeah. That was my AAA is gone. Like, it's kind of a joke. That was supposed to be a joke. Just a bad joke.
Yeah, it was. Because I'm like, that's real.
It's real, but it's like that's the man that he was. Like even in our conflicts, he was just like, God, he was so perfect. Like I love that man. Like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like
I just think you're so strong. Like the amount of things that you were carrying at such a young age, I think we can't deny that it is a lot. It is a huge plane. And it's not even like baggage, but it's a huge bag.
Oh no, it's baggage.
It's a huge.
You know the song "Bag Lady" by Erykah Badu, right? Yes. She said, "You can't hurry up because you got too much stuff." You gonna miss? Yeah, she was like.
I think I gotta replay that song.
Yeah, let that be the song for the episode. I don't know if you can do that or not, but like, yeah, no, that song really spoke to me. Like it, really, like I love that song because she was just like, I remember like, you know, she's got this lyric where she's like, "Bag lady, you gonna miss your bus. You can't hurry up because you got too much stuff." Yes, and it's like you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss your opportunities in life. You don't want to miss what's waiting for you, and where you don't want to miss the bus where they're supposed to take you because you got too many fucking bags. So many bags. Drop them. You gonna miss your fucking bus. I think that was like
a hoot.
I know they're gonna cancel me like on.
Stop it.
Everything.
We're gonna find the Twitter account.
Yeah. But like there's a lot of people that are grandfathered into my Twitter. Like they know who I am and like they're like really good friends.
Do you have like one of those accounts that has like a picture of like a graphic or something, but it's not you, and like you have a weird name?
The picture is me. It's just a silhouette of me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like
okay. So your face is still there.
No, my face is not there. My body is there.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
Yeah, but
we're gonna discover.
I'll show you. And you're gonna follow me, and you'll be like, she don't be talking about shit on her Twitter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're gonna have to bleep me out a bunch on this probably. But yeah, I don't know. Like that's you can't walk around with too much baggage, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta pack light.
Yeah.
Pack light.
Ooh.
Somebody Alexa, play Bag Lady by
Oh my gosh.
Such a good song.
It is.
Such a good song. But like I think that was like I think a lot of people don't really understand what she's talking about in that song. Yeah. Like you really gotta heal from your baggage.
I think this was okay, I really loved episode 1, but I think this is also better too. You just got the juice, girl.
I'm screaming.
You got the juice. Dropping gems.
I mean, you know, I can only drop what I know. You know, like there's so much more in life that I'm gonna take, and you know, like I'm just really there to learn. Like I'm here to. I love learning.
Yeah,
and I think that's why light.
It's to be that light.
I try to be. I don't want to be darkness. You know, like
yeah.
But no, I don't want to be like a shadow.
Yeah.
There. Shadow. Because those type of people are just draining. You know, then no one wants to be around a shadow.
Yeah.
You know, so I really had to heal for myself till I could be good to everyone else that needs it. My kid, you know, friends, family. But I am serious. Like I said, I am serious about myself. So like.
Yeah. If you had to give last words and just...
Are we playing the game again?
No, I don't have my iPad.
Oh,
so
okay.
we're leaving that out. In case you guys don't know, this is the second time that we had to record this episode because your girl is learning. So the first episode was absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, no one will be able to hear it. I think maybe it was just for me, I guess, because there was no audio.
It was a good trial run.
It was. It was great. And I appreciate you for, coming back. But I love this episode even more, too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we actually are probably around the same time ballpark anyway. But you talked about therapy and just, like, your other self-care routines, you're working out. Like, what are some other things that you recommend people who are trying to overcome something, whatever it is? Like, what other recommendations do you have?
For sure doing little things for yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Like, find the stuff, like, that you like even if it's just waking up early and like having a coffee by yourself, reading, or going like after you get off work before you go pick up your kids, go to like I was going to TJ Maxx heavily.
Yes.
But it's
Target.
Like you know for real, like it's like just doing little things that are just for you, not for mom you or dad you or
friend you
or any like just for you. And that is probably so important to your self-care journey is like figuring out what, and I don't mean it, sometimes it is just sitting on the couch, right? And sometimes it is taking a rest. And being by yourself. But I would encourage people to take action for themselves, to do something for themselves, because that's going to slowly, bit by bit, you're going to realize, like, no, I'm actually worth getting up and going and doing this. Like, let me go, I don't know, go walk. And it's just for me. Like, I'm just going to go by myself. Or... whatever sort of solitude you can find for yourself in little pockets that you can really do for yourself is key, I would say. So
I love that. Well, thank you, my love.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being you and sharing your story. And
I missed the game. I wish we could do the game. Oh well, game's about to start.
Okay, do you have a game? I mean, do you have any like this or that? We can make some up. Come on.
This or that.
This or that. I'll think of one and then you think of one.
Pineapple on pizza or no pineapple on pizza?
Okay. I love pineapple, but like not on the pizza.
I am not discriminatory. I will eat pineapple here. I will eat it there. I will eat it anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Including a pizza.
Watermelon or no watermelon?
I'm allergic.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I'm obviously like, I don't like watermelon, and so I think there needs to be like this like radar to like please stop like trying to disgrace me for not liking watermelon.
Oh yeah,
because
like,
I'm black.
Oh man, the amount of people that have really thought it was smart or wise to tell me that because I'm allergic to watermelon that doesn't make me black.
Right.
It is so insanely offensive.
Yeah, exactly. Please stop. Please stop.
Say
Thank you.
shit like that. Like, I wish I wasn't allergic. Sometimes I'll sneak a little bite and be like, hopefully it doesn't make my mouth itch. But
yeah, I'm like, no.
But yeah, no. This or that. What was the one? What were some that you had? Oh, you said like rain or sunshine.
Oh yeah.
So what is it for you?
Rain or sunshine? I like sunshine.
Me too.
I just love just 24 hours of just bright light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then I'm also enjoying, like, I guess because where we live, the Midwest, like we just get all seasons.
Yes.
And so I'm starting to enjoy just all of them.
Yeah,
you know,
it's so
like
great.
the rain, like it is kind of like peaceful and calm and quiet. But yeah, I would prefer sunshine still.
I will say, like, on my Apple, I have a rainy day soul playlist.
Ooh,
for
I like
rainy
that.
days.
Share
I don't have a sunshine day turn up.
Yeah, there's not. Okay, mine is becoming like R&B. Like R&B is like for every mood. It doesn't matter if it's like raining or like whatever the weather is outside. Like it is so good.
That's how I was like
so good.
That's where I'm at with it right now.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Pay 50-50 on a date or take turns. What's yours? You didn't answer this one last time.
So definitely take turns because I just feel like until you are married or I don't know. I just feel like
coexisting with your finances.
Yeah, you might as well just take turns. You know what I mean? I don't really believe like, okay, so Michelle Obama like posted this video yesterday that I was like, that is so accurate. She was like, marriage is never 50-50. Like it's really about putting your all in, like at the very beginning and at the very end, and you're gonna go through seasons.
All parts. And
that's it.
It looks different each season.
So it's like you have to understand what season you're in, and then you can say like, okay, where are we at? Like if you're going to be here, then I know how to give here. But if you're just like this whole culture 50-50, like it just honestly it doesn't make sense.
Or feeling like a man needs to take care of you completely.
Oh my God, please get out of that, ladies. This is the 2023. Okay?
You know, I don't hate it though. I don't hate that some women just want to be taken care of.
Okay, not everything though. Like you got to put in some work. A little bit.
No, you gotta
just a little.
Everybody has their role, right? Everybody's a role player. Like I believe in roles.
That's true. What is your role?
Yeah.
Like,
you know,
really,
like I have one of my friends, she's a rock star, stay-at-home mom, and she's got 3 girls. The oldest is Iosefa's age, so she's about to turn 4 next month. So she stays at home with her kids, and I mean, she is a rock star. Like, she is so good. They're like, those kids, like, you want to talk about intentional parenting? She does it.
And it is different for everyone. So, like, some people may be comfortable being a stay-at-home mom. Some may be like, you know what, I'm not doing that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, do whatever your heart desires. Just don't expect
somebody to... I mean, some people do. Some people...
Girl.
Some people end up having it, and I don't know...
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they're completely happy. I don't wish or want for nothing. But, like, you know... I don't hate those people that want to just be taken care of because same.
Same.
I mean, I don't work. Oh, I gotta work until whenever, but yeah. I think I told somebody, I was like, I think I shot myself in the foot by becoming an attorney, and I think I gotta work the rest of my life. Low key.
Oh God.
No, it's fine. I'm blessed. I'm so privileged to be able to say that I did it.
Gosh.
You know, it's such a great thing. But
I just love you, dude.
I love you too.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Like,
I hope you guys enjoy this episode. It's just the beginning, girl.
Right. Yeah. No, it's good stuff.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to put Cleotha's Twitter information in the description below.
Or not.
And her other socials, so you can follow her as well. But that's all for this episode, you guys. We'll see you next week. Peace.